Now playing the Hook and Bridge podcast.
I fucking love that show. I'm telling you, I'm the worst person to have a podcast. I can barely speak.
Oh my god, I love doing this!
Welcome back to the Hook and Bridge podcast. I am your host, Harley, joined by my co-host and little sister, Taylor.
Hello.
And we have a super special guest on the show today.
I'm so excited.
Announced by CMT is the one of the next women in country music, right? In 2023.
Yep.
So please welcome to the show, everybody, Julie Williams.
Hey. Thanks so much for having me.
Usually we have sound effects.
Oh, there we
Yeah.
go.
For applause, but she's not here.
So your schedule must be crazy, right? You're on tour. I was wondering, because I know you're from Nashville now, and when they sent me your avails, I was like, man, I thought those Nashville kids like partied all night and slept in, but
That is the biggest misconception I feel like about tour. Everybody's like, oh, you go so hard and all that. And I'm like, man, we play, and then by the time we load out, it's like midnight, and then we have to start driving the next day super early. I'm pooped, you know. I don't know.
Yeah.
For sure.
You know, and I'm not at the level where it's like, oh, I've got like a bus driver that's driving me there in the middle of the night, and I wake up in a new city. You know, I'm driving fan, you know. So it definitely is much more tiring than I think people realize from the non-partying aspects of it,
right.
you know? And then I think you add on that, I'm like, I don't know how y'all do it.
No, I could not.
Speaking
I
of
can't be up past midnight.
touring,
too.
speaking of touring, so back when I was maybe senior year of high school, graduating high school, a band I was in got the opportunity to go tour like the southern part of Canada and northern part of the US, and they wanted us to pay for the tour. So like you would pay up front and then you would recoup the money on the back end. Is that still like the case for touring? Do you still have to like up front pay the money to be on the tour and then recoup on the back end?
No. I mean, I think there's some like promoters that might do that, like where they pay and then, you know, it's kind of on them. But for bands, no, I don't think.
That's huge.
Yeah. If someone was going to make me pay, I would say respectfully, no, thank you.
Yeah, that's what I ended up doing. I was like,
Yeah,
I'm not in the band anymore. I don't have that money.
I mean,
Buddy, it sounds like you were scammed. Like it sounds like someone was trying to get money off of you.
Or maybe it was different. I don't know what genre that world it is, but at least in like the country Americana space, I haven't had to do that.
Right. Yeah, it was a metal band, so you know, different worlds, I guess. And
yeah, I mean,
Sure.
Look, it's tough out there for everybody, whether you're an artist and costs are way more expensive for you to tour and travel, and you know, for venues too, like smaller venues, it's really tough, like out there, like pushing tickets and everything. And so I think there's a lot of people in the music industry who like the profit margins aren't as big as they used to be, and there are a lot of people with money. So, you know,
right.
I understand people trying to find things in different ways, but you know, it's oftentimes it's the artist that gets screwed out of it. So yeah.
So you're on tour. How has the tour been so far? Are you in like the front half of the tour? Are you on the last leg of the tour?
We're kind of right in the middle. I had my like kind of the biggest show on the tour, my EP release show in Nashville at the Blue Room at Third Man Records, which was really fun. That was just really like a big celebration, bringing all the people. My parents came, and you know,
that's awesome.
Yeah. And then I just went and did a little Midwest run, which was really, really fun. For me, I like to kind of mix it up. Like I'll have a mix of full band stuff, mix of solo, mix of trio, just kind of keeping it fresh and fun and challenging throughout it. So I just finished up the solo portion. So now I'm coming back to some like travel with my band, which I'm
nice.
really excited.
So fitting to be in the Blue Room, right, for your EP release because of Tennessee Moon having this very blue, bluegrassy type feel to it. How was that experience for you playing in the Blue Room? Was it like a dream come true for you?
Yeah, I mean, as soon as I record this album, it's funny, I have blue nails actually that I put for the Blue Room show. As soon as I finished recording this project with my producer, Jonathan Small, we just like immediately imagined playing like a big show that has the band from the record, because it does have so many pieces. It has pedal steel and banjo and guitar and all this. And that's not usually my regular band setup. It's much more contained. So we just kind of had this vision of having this bigger band. And I've done some Blue Room shows as an opener before. And I've always loved it. I mean, it's such an iconic room and just, it's so beautiful and sounds so beautiful that as soon as I forgot which one of us suggested it first. As soon as we said it, and they were like, "Oh, I love that room," and then we're like, "Oh, Blue Room, Blue Moon!" Like it all just kind of came together and felt so fitting. And I love it. It's funny. I've been bringing around at this tour. I've some stage decorations. I have like candles on stage and different plants and stuff. And I also have this like moon projector that I bought on Amazon.
Oh, that's cool.
They all like project. But I didn't need to at the Blue Room because they already have like a little thing.
Right.
Like I was like, this venue was made for this tour. I love it.
That's so cool. I love that room. I think it's really cool to bring on like stage props and stuff because like it's really interesting because you're at this stage in your career where we can kind of see, especially our fan base can see like the background of like what it's like to be an up and comer, the things that you actually invest into your act. A lot of people think that, you're just showing up and playing your show and then leaving. And that's just not always the case. Like there's a lot of work that goes in behind it and that you're so involved. That's very impressive.
Driving the bus.
Yeah.
I gotta get there.
I turn on all of those flameless candles. Like the candles are there. I unbox them. I turn them all on. I put them back on. I put all the batteries and all of them. Like, before every show, which is, it's so little. It doesn't.
But it adds an intimacy to the show.
Yeah, but it does add that thing. And for me, I'm like, even if it's just for me, it's fun just feeling like I get to create a little world, even if it's not, the huge graphics and light show that you get at other places. But I do think that those touches really, if it doesn't do anything for anyone else, it does something for me when I
makes you feel more comfortable.
Exactly. And it's a fun little like creative outlet getting ready for the show to think of how I want it to look on the stage. And I want to continue doing that as I keep getting bigger and hope that I get some more stuff, and who knows, we'll get the pyrotechnics, we'll get the crazy going on at some point. But no,
well, especially in your genre too, and in the country world, like that's just not something that's common. You know what I mean? Like you have some bigger acts that put on a bit of a stage performance, but typically your country shows are going to be the stage, the artist, maybe a screen and playing like a video behind them. But to bring out some sort of an actual prop of some sort for the stage and build that mini world really just adds an extra layer to your music. And your music, I think, arguably is not fitting into one specific genre. You've paved a way. And we're going to talk about that soon. But I'm going to go ahead and let Taylor jump into a couple of her questions.
Oh, I get to ask a couple of my questions?
Sure.
How exciting. So we're talking about you being on touring, so this is fitting. What is your favorite memory so far of being on tour?
Ooh, that's a great question. This isn't necessarily from this tour, but it's kind of a past ones. I tour sometimes with this collective called the Black Opry. It's a collective of Black artists who do country and Americana and roots and folk. And we've gotten to just tour all around the country together. And, it's funny. Before I started touring, I always thought like, I'm so excited to go to New York or San Francisco, like to go all of these big cities. Like that to me, I thought was what touring was. But I found that really the places where my favorite shows have been a lot of smaller towns. Because when you're in like New York or Charlotte or someplace, there's so much to do. So everybody is someplace else. And it's almost like you're begging people like, come out to our show, please. But sometimes you go to towns and it's like, this is the theater in the town and everybody comes. No matter what is playing, they are there, and they're there to discover music, even if they haven't heard of you. So some of my favorite shows have been in that. Like one of the shows we played, my favorite places was, I'll say two. One was Waverly, Alabama. We played at this, it was like a print shop, but it also was like a music venue. And we played the show, and then afterwards there was like a bonfire right outside the venue. So we all just hung out in this bonfire.
I love that
show. It was so lovely. And then this one's a funny one. We played in Evanston, Indiana. I played there once with Black Opry, and then I came back a different time. But that time with Black Opry, we played. It was like this little festival, and it was kind of raining. Honestly, it wasn't that big of a show, but we had so much fun, and they were so nice. And then like 6 months later, I went back to Evanston myself because they had a like Juneteenth celebration, and they're like, come on over there. You artists of color and country music always are like, our calls are around February and June. So we're like, okay. So anyway, so I go back there on Juneteenth, and they're like so excited to show me. They have this like exhibit that's like the Black history of Evanston, Indiana, and I'm like walking through this museum that's like literally the Black history of this town, and at the end of it is the picture of us at the Black Opry. Like they were like, this felt to them so significant of their Black history that we were in this museum. And it was just like a picture of us just like standing there with guitars, and it was definitely really, really trippy, but also kind of funny because I'm like, we're not that big of I'm like, I don't know. It was just kind of funny. And there was like a picture, and I was like, someone's like, oh, you should get that. You should take that home. And I was like, great. And they're like, it's $50. I'm like, okay, I won't buy it, but
the picture of you was $50.
The picture of me. I was like, I'm not going to pay $50 for a picture of myself, but
I have to ask a strange question here. Yeah. So anyway. You're going through that museum.
Yeah.
You get to that picture. Did you immediately think of like, oh, this is the white people saying, oh, we have Black friends, see?
A little bit. It kind of was.
I would be like, that's like so kind of offensive to like show me a picture of myself.
It was so sweet. Like it was in some ways, it was like the sweetest, like, old lady was kind of bringing us around, and she was so proud of this thing that she's created. So in some ways you're just like, oh, sweet baby, like,
yeah,
yes. But definitely in another way, you're kind of like, or more so, it's like, I'm like, is this it in the history? Like there must be, some other things that have gone on in this town that
you mean that there are no people of color that have come through here.
I'm like, there's got to be someone bigger than this, but no, I mean, honestly, that it was like everyone there was so sweet. I came back to the same like Holiday Inn or Hampton, whatever place I stayed, with the Black Opry, I came back and the lady knew me from the front. She was like, oh, you came back, awesome. You were here. Like, because they just really are so like excited for the arts and to pour into it. So those have been some of my like favorite memories on tour. Just like these fun, like small town moments. And you really get to meet just like some really awesome people from around the country. And like, I think something that's been cool for me is just to like see because a lot of my songs are really story driven.
Mhm.
They're pretty meaty, as we talked about, like kind of blending of those genres.
I love that.
I definitely love like kind of leaning
Mhm.
into that to the country storytelling, but also like the folk storytelling.
Mhm.
And so going around, you know, I write about my specific story. Like all these songs, I'm like, this is the story that came into it. But you never know when you go to a show, like what brings somebody to that room to hear that song and what they're going to pull out of it from their life experience, what they've been through. And that's been the coolest thing, is like finding connection with people from completely different walks of life for me that are like, hey, I resonated with that song.
Yeah.
XYZ. I'm like, whoa, I never thought about that lyric in that way, but that's so like, wow, you know, it's honestly just, I mean, it goes to show just like that there's so much that like unites us, even in all of our differences. And that's been something that's been really cool, is having those, when, you know, sometimes when they're in big cities, they're kind of like watching the show with their hands like this, and then they all,
kind of judging.
you know, a little bit. So I'm like, I like the smaller towns.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I have been to, with Harley, because I don't go to concerts alone, but we've been to a handful of bigger shows and everything, and my most favorite memories are from the smaller shows and the smaller venues and hanging out with the artists and talking to them. I mean, we're best friends with the Ohio Weather Band at this point. Like, I have gone to see the Clarks, I don't even know how many times, because their shows are just so small and intimate, and I love that. So I definitely would prefer that over a big show any day.
Yeah, I love it as an artist too. You know, it's really cool, special.
Speaking of like larger cities, the support from CMT and playing your song, I believe, I could be wrong, I might be mixing you up with somebody else, but wasn't your song played on like Times Square?
It was, yeah.
Yeah, like that's got to be incredible, right? Like,
oh, it
you
was.
look up and you just see your music video on the biggest screen, arguably in the US. You know,
it was really, really special. So it's happened 2 times. The first time I got to go to New York and see it happen in that moment, which was, it was surreal. I mean, it's kind of weird because it's not like the sound is playing, like it is this video playing, and then there's all these, you know, going by and thousands of people. But it is fun to like to see yourself on that size, and then sometimes you're there like pointing and someone's like, is that you know, too? And you know, we were there was like a group of like tourists, like teen, like clearly like a high school group from like I don't remember, like France or Spain or someplace, and they're like, oh, this must be like a famous American, you know, they all wanted to go there, and you're like, you know, I'm not that big a deal, but it seems like it to, you know, people want to see it. So it definitely was really surreal seeing it in person. And then the second time I wasn't able to go, but I like I was like, someone needs to like, I need to get this documented. So I like hired someone on, I think it's like Fiverr or like TaskRabbit.
Yeah.
I was like, can you just go and film this? And there is a person on there who I'm like, they know the niche in the market. They literally go, I would record the Times Square thing, and they know exactly what you need. They're like, I'll take this angle and this angle and this angle and this angle. And I'm like, this person's probably making bank from random people, like the most random things. And this girl went and videotaped it for me. And that was so funny because I have this video of the video, which is a song of mine of me kind of falling in love with a female best friend. Like it's definitely like a little bit of a fruity song. And there's like a clip of us. I mean, it's nothing like racy or anything, but there's a clip of us like in the bathtub. It's the whole video is kind of playing off like we were just friends. So it kind of shows things,
like a girlhood thing.
Like 2 girls that are like, these are very much things that friends would do, but you're like, And so like there's a picture that she sent, and it's just like me in a bathtub on top. Me just like in the bathtub. And I was like, I definitely didn't think that through. And I was like, the shots that I was like projected onto this screen, you know. But it was definitely definitely really, really fun to see. And just
That, I
such
mean,
an honor.
it's so good that I'm not famous, because like if that happened to me, I'd be sitting in Times Square all day just getting
Yes.
sandwiches and just being like, huh? You
Yeah,
said
that's
huh?
you do actually. It happens twice during the day. They give you the exact time.
Oh,
Oh, see, that's fun.
And the exact all of those like billboards are like owned by a specific entity that
Mhm.
plans them out, and so they tell it's not as I think as like oh my gosh, like this just happened and I'm here. Like I think if you ever see those videos, be like somebody's
They knew.
yeah, they got that email.
there at that exact
Yeah.
time. But I will say the first time I went, I did get there and I couldn't find where it was. And I was like that. I was kind of like huffing and puffing to find it in that exact moment. Because I was late and that place has thousands of people and it's hard to move around.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
But speaking of CMT, has CMT been extremely responsive and like supportive? Have you gotten like an overwhelming like we're taking you in type of feeling, or do you feel that you've had to work harder for that support versus like a Casey Musgraves or some of those other artists? Do you feel that you've kind of had to like prove yourself more?
Yeah, that's a really great question. I am so lucky there. So they've had some like changes at CMT recently. But the person who kind of brought me under my wing at CMT was this woman named Leslie Fram. And she was at CMT for like, I don't know, 15 years, a long time. And she started CMT Next Women of Country. Really, I mean, she's done so much programming that is about like uplifting voices that you might not necessarily hear that much in country music. Like she's like, people are going to come here and they're going to hear, they're going to hear Luke Combs. They're going to hear those folks that they like already know and they already love. But while they're here, let me just show them somebody that I think they'll love too. And so I really think that Leslie she was such a pioneer and just such a champion of these smaller voices. And that's what she loves. She's there like on the ground in Nashville, coming to these smaller shows of people and seeing those things. So it really, really was her that kind of took me under her wing and brought me in to CMT Next Women. And it was really special because part of that program is saying, hey, these are the people that are going to be the next, we think that these are going to be the next women that you need to watch out for, just in general with country. And I definitely, when I first got picked from it, felt a lot of imposter syndrome. Like in my class was like Megan Maroney. And I'm like, I should not be like sitting on the stage with her. Like, I was just like, I mean, she's so nice. There was no like, you shouldn't be on the stage. She's so nice. But I definitely felt that like imposter syndrome. And, cause I'm like, I don't have a big label or all these things or all these crazy tours or these millions of streams. But a friend of mine, when I was kind of expressing that, which is the importance of having people in your corner that love you and support you to like talk you down sometimes. But she was like, look, like if you're following like what's up and coming in Black country music and Black Americana, like your name is on those lists. So of course, like as they're showing, this is all what country is, like you're going to be on that list too. And it kind of like gave me a little bit of like, oh, okay. Like it might not be at that level yet, but like, I think, I am trying to do something of importance. And I think that there are some people that are seeing that. So to have that kind of validated with CMT of being like, we see what you're doing and we think that what you're doing is really important. It really meant a lot. And like getting the chance to walk the red carpet and, be a part of a lot of the CMT programming has been so special personally, like just really freaking fun, but also like professionally, like it's great to get in those rooms and meet other people and other artists. And it definitely has, I think, at least on the industry side, given you know, some people this thing where they know what CMT Next Women is. So once they know you're a part of it, you know, they definitely are like, oh, let me listen a little bit more. Not that it should be that way, but unfortunately, that's kind of how the industry works.
The politics of music, right?
Yeah, definitely. So no, they've been really, really, really special and awesome to me. But
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Speaking of politics, Taylor, I think you had a great question lined up.
About politics?
Well, in regards to Julie's involvement in a great cause.
Oh, yes. Okay. I was like, well, that's not on my list, but okay.
We're not that kind of show.
Wrong show.
I was going to say, we can go there, but I don't think anyone would want to go there after the past few weeks.
Wrong show. So I was reading up on you creating the green room conversations.
Yes, yeah.
And I just kind of wanted to give like a special thank you for that. I recently graduated from college, and I know people personally who have been affected by like not necessarily like sexual assault, but like sexual harassment and things like that. And especially in college, it's a crazy place to be anyways, with people figuring things out and all of that. Yeah. But I love that you have started this and, you know, have given women and people a voice to feel safe. And I think that it's great. Like, we're in a time now, I know at least for my college, it has been very much talked about that we have, you know, seminars, and there are helplines and people you can talk to. And if there's any, you know, if you go to anyone about it, like there's an investigation, like they take it all very seriously. And I think that's because of people like you who are being open about this and creating those safe places. So I just wanted to thank you on behalf of women everywhere for doing that, because I think that's really great.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. And, you know, it kind of started as, you know, and I think there are other like industries that you go into where they're like, you join this and here's your training. Here's your like training. This is sexual harassment. This is like who you talk to, or even on that college campus, they're like, this is the X coordinator that you go to who's here. But like that stuff doesn't exist in music, right?
Yeah.
Like there's no HR department to be like, this person was a little bit creepy. You know, you don't have that. And it's like you go to shows where there is alcohol involved, and music is just, it really is this thing. While it is a job, it's this thing that people love. Like, it's such an interesting industry to be a part of. It is a job and it is a career, and the people that you are with are your coworkers, but there's not many other professions where you have to share a hotel room with your coworker.
Yeah.
There's not enough money in the budget to get you all separate hotel rooms. You might be writing a song together at 10 p.m. that's about sex, right? Like, you might be writing some sort of song being like, it's been a while and I want to get some, you know, but that doesn't mean that you want to sleep with your co-writer. There's, as an artist, sometimes when people pay tickets to their show, they feel like you owe them something, you know, they feel like you owe them at the very least, like a conversation or something, or a picture or a hug or whatever it is. Same with like at the venue. Also same with artists and fans, right? Fans might feel like an artist is hitting on them. They feel like there's this power. There's all these sorts of things that, like, it wasn't until like I kind of got into touring and into this industry that I was like, I've always thought of myself as this like, I'm a strong, independent, whatever, no one's gonna say anything to me. And then you find yourself in these positions and you're like, oh wow. And I realized that there were a lot of women that specifically, but just people in general, that kind of gave me these little lessons, like behind the scenes. Like, I remember when I first moved to Nashville, this one girl, I was asking her like, hey, what recommendations do you have? And she was like, don't take a business meeting with a man past 6 p.m. Like, that's not a meeting. She was like, if he wants to meet, you say, let's get coffee the next day at 10 a.m. Like that was just a very specific
Yeah.
advice that she gave me that I remember at that time being like, huh. But I have then passed that advice down to so many people. And that's kind of what these green room conversations are supposed to be. Like, they're not supposed to be like, let me give a lecture of like, here's all the ways that you could be harassed. And this is all of the resources. You know, it's more so of like, I usually like play a song and stuff. And then I'm just like, let's talk. Like,
Yeah.
who are you guys in this room? Are you artists? Are you like folks that want to join the music industry? Are you like, and we just kind of really have this real conversation where I just share some advice and stories that is like really frank. Like, don't do that. Sometimes it's like giving people permission to be like, you at the beginning of being an artist, everyone's going to tell you to say yes to everything. To this show, you never know what's going to be your next big break. But if you're in this mode of feeling like you have to say yes to everything, you also then can give your power to some of these other people to be like, my career is contingent on me saying yes to this person, when oftentimes these people that I thought at the beginning of the career were going to be these like life-changing people are like just a blip in my story. They had nothing to do with anything, but I felt like these people were so big. And so part of it is really having that conversation there. And it's a little different at every school. It's been so meaningful for me. And it's like, that shit's like not over, you know. It's like I did one of those things when I was in Austin, and then I was at at the awards and experienced more of what I had just been telling people about how to avoid, and still felt like I couldn't do anything about it. Like, it's just, like, this shit happens
all the time. And it's one of those things too that I have said it before, but all sexual harassment videos were created by a man. Sorry, but like they were. Like every time I watch one, I'm like, never does that happen. That's not how it is. That's not. It's always one of those. Well, not always, but usually one of those situations where someone said something that's a little off, and you're like, wait a second. Like, once it sits with you, and you're like, that wasn't right. Like, I would not okay with that. No. You know, or just like little gestures, and no one talks about that on any video ever.
Don't talk about too, like, you don't have to, like, I'm not a conflict person. I'm never going to be that person that's going to be like, you something, blah, 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 and like blows it up. Like, I wish I had that, you know, fire. I really, like, some people have that and I don't. And so I say, I'm like, you can just be like, how do you just get yourself out of the situation? Yeah. How do you like say you like, sometimes it's like the easiest, like not the easiest, but I'm like, let me meet you where you are. And here's some like little practical tips that I've used to be like, you know, everybody, you know, everyone's going here and they're all drunk and you're just like, hey man, I like that pizza back there just really messed with me. Like, I gotta go, you know, like, and like, you can just say whatever shit you want to say. To, like, it doesn't have to be this whole thing if you don't want it to be this.
Well, and I feel like a lot of times too, it's more dangerous to blow it up. You know what I mean? Like, I have seen situations where if people would have just, you know, quietly gotten themselves out of the situation, it wouldn't have escalated the way that it is.
Yeah.
And so
it's so tough. It's like, you know, I mean, obviously, you know, it's all like kind of circumstance, but you know, it's like these kind of conversations are the things that those are. And then we, you know, play songs and eat pizza and like, it's nice and chill. And I want to like keep doing it we've done it at a few colleges so far and are kind of looking into this next year of expanding and
that's great.
Bringing in more artists to talk about too. And it's been really special.
And when you go to do that, we would love to be supportive on our side and get you involved in places around here in Virginia. I know there are a lot of great colleges around here that could use that support. So.
Oh, definitely.
100%.
Would love to do that. Yeah.
So just to bring it up to a little lighter note here.
It got real deep real quick.
I know, I love it.
I could talk about it for hours. It's such a great cause. But so you started in Florida, and you had a duo, and I was curious, did that duo have a name?
The name was Julian Elliott. It was me. I was singing in church, and this guy who played the bass in my church, his name was Elliot, and I was like, I don't know, 14 or 15 at the time. He was like 21, and I wanted to learn how to play guitar, and so my mom was like, "Hey, Elliot, would you give her guitar lessons?" He's like, "I've never given them before," so I'm pretty sure we paid him like horrible, like $15, a lesson, something, because he was like, he was just like, oh, whatever you want, and he started giving me guitar lessons, and I would just go sometimes and go see he would play at little gigs at beach bars and restaurants and all that, and so I would go, and I remember there was one time where he like invited me up to like play the song that we had been practicing at our lesson, and I'm pretty sure we like played the song, and like he got like tips, like because people like love tipping a young girl. He was like, "Oh, I think we could like we could
business idea,
and and I think I love my mom so much. She's a sweetheart, but she was like she loved like just like living vicariously through it. So she was just like, let's go, I went to a restaurant here and like I told them about you and like you could come, and at that time I was like, oh, this is embarrassing, mom, like so embarrassing, but it did kind of get me out of my comfort zone. And so we started this little duo. We would just play like cover gigs around, like it wasn't anything super crazy, but we for a few years, like we would play cover gigs all around the Tampa Bay area. And it was like my first real experience, like making money from music. And that was like my high school job. And I'm so like thankful for that time, because I think I learned so many skills from like how to rap a chord to like how to book a show, how to deal with like a fan who maybe had a little bit too much to drink, or so much stuff, how to like talk to people on stage. I do think that there's something that really is that's important for artists to like have these moments where you are on stage and nobody gives a shit about you. Like there is something that is so like, it sucks, it doesn't feel good, but you learn how to get over that feeling. That feeling of like a little bit of embarrassment, of the feeling of, but then you move to like, well, fuck it, I don't care. I think that there is that important stage. I was talking about this with a friend recently who, she went to the show, and it was an artist that kind of like, it was an artist that was opening for somebody, and they had like blown up on TikTok or whatever. And this was like their first shows were like 800 people, and I'm like, whoa, I can't even imagine going like my literal first show from my living room to thing is 800 people that are all there and listening. And she was like, yeah, I could tell the person was like really, really nervous, and you could really tell. And, I'm like, oh, that makes sense that you didn't have those shows where, and that's not to say I'm not like, you need to pay your dues, like every artist. I do like look back at that time, and I'm very grateful for all the skills that I had at those shows.
Well, it builds like the character, right? It builds like your resilience in the industry. It helps you understand stage presence and understand like, oh, just because they're talking to their friends doesn't mean that they're not enjoying what I'm doing.
Yeah.
That's the world of music. You come to listen to music, not stare at somebody playing music. Yeah. So those smaller shows and dealing with that, it's very important. And I think that artists that are coming out of the scene like that have literally from their house to the stage, they're going to have a hard time getting that resilience and staying in the scene, because they haven't built up that fan base. Their fan base starts here, and then it'll slowly dwindle because they don't have that presence. They don't have that confidence in themselves.
Yeah.
And it's hard to build that back up when you started somewhere.
Yeah. I think, I like really oftentimes feel for like art, like the mental health side of it. I'm like, I can't even imagine. Like there is something at whatever level it is. Like, I don't think our brains are meant to deal with the ups and downs of being an artist. Like you go and play the show and you get so much like dopamine of people just being like clapping for you and telling you like, you're all great and you're all this, and which is amazing. But then like my lowest moments are like the day after or right after I've played the show, on my way home. Like that was horrible. I suck. Whatever, and it's like your brain, like not being nice to you. Like part of it is like, I wish it's like, oh, it's because I have low self-esteem or whatever, but it's not. It's like, you see it at every level. It's like literally, I'll text some of my friends and I'll say like, my brain isn't being nice to me right now. Like I know, and even if it's still hard, but it's like, I just try to tell myself, I'm like, you are coming down from this huge thing. Yep. Your brain is like not going to be very nice. Try not to believe it right now. Just try not to, but it can be tough.
The only other, I have two questions here for you. One of them is a little deeper. I know we've talked about like your songwriting path a little bit. And first of all, you're one of the most talented songwriters that I've experienced on this show.
Thank you.
Truly, like your lyrics, the way that you craft words, it's very, very impressive. The stories are heartwarming and personal. My wife, who's not in the room right now, compared you to like a young Dolly Parton, and just like a like Grand Ole Opry style, like old country style. I know that you grew up listening to a lot of older country. I know you grew up listening to like some 90s stuff, but I am curious on your influence from your parents. Do you feel that your path as a musician would have changed if, like, say, your parents were like diehard hair metal fans? Or do you feel that you've always kind of felt this connection to like the country Americana folk side of things?
Yeah, I think my mom played a lot of like those country women, like those 90s women. I do think if I hadn't had that, I don't know if I necessarily would have fallen in love with country in the way that I did. Cause like I really felt myself in a lot of those like 90s, early 2000s female country, like the chicks, like wide open spaces, like this, like yearning for greater and like leaving your hometown. And like, I just loved those stories and I felt myself in them. And then I just like, we would sing like Suds in the Bucket, Sarah Evan. It's just like fun, like I just had so much fun singing those songs. And so I feel like I got a really amazing introduction to that world that then when, there have also been times where I haven't really liked country music too much, like as a listener, but also as somebody who makes it. And I think if I didn't have that foundation, I don't know if I would have done it as much. But I also like, it's funny you say like hair metal, because like my older brother, like that's all he listens to. And neither my parents played that, but that's just like, well, like he couldn't give a shit about what I do. Like I'll tell my brother, be like, hey, I got it. I'll be like, I just put out a new song. Do you listen to it? He's like, it's not really my style.
That's me as a sibling.
Yeah, I'm like, great. That's nice. Yeah, he could give literally two shits about any of my music. And yeah, he always sends me like these rock. He's like, I think you should cover this. I think you should cover this. We'll like literally never cover this, but thank you. But I think the music that my parents played for me, it really like, it helped me like feel like I was like, oh, these things make me feel this way. And then when I was like crafting those shows, like when I was playing those like beach bar things, like, you go and play, it's a lot of like snowbirds, like Florida snowbirds, like those people that like come down just for the winter. And it's like a much older crowd. So when it was like time to craft those shows, I was like, let's just sing Taylor Swift. And my mom's like, no, you gotta like, put some other stuff in there. Like little me was just like, let's do that. And so I think really getting like their help too, to like help me craft those things, to be like, what do people your age and older want to listen to?
Right.
And I think that helped me start singing some of these incredible songs. Like you really get this experience, I think, when you do like cover shows of like seeing in real time what happens when you play a song that somebody really loves and that they feel moved by, and that you sing really well. Like, you know, when you got your like showstoppers where you're like, ooh, I know when I'm going to play this, heads are going to turn. And you get to like learn those things. And I remember this feeling that I first learned what that feeling was. And at that time when I was first starting and I was writing my own songs, none of those songs felt like that to me. They didn't give me that like, oh, and I would perform them and they didn't have that feeling to other people. But it wasn't until I started when I was in college and I started writing more and I finally wrote this song that like felt to me the same way that some of those other great songs that I was singing felt. I'm not saying I'm like, this is this great song, but the feeling that I had when I played it. And
it's a real thing. Yeah.
It really is this real thing. And I was like, oh, I can do this. Like I can tap into that. And, you know, you have to write hundreds of songs to again find the few that give you that feeling. And I am constantly writing songs that I'll write and I'll be like, no, that was fine, but it didn't give me that. But then you have those songs that give you those feelings. And so, I think chasing that feeling, the root of that, I don't even realize that my parents helped me, or I don't even think they realized that they helped me craft that. And maybe if they had played other music, I would have found that feeling in other things. But at the same time, I do think that there's something about the art that you make that is inherently you. And I've had other times where I've explored other genres and have done things that I'm like, oh, this was fine, but I didn't get that intrinsic thing. So part of me thinks that even if they had played other music, I could have tried other things until I found what felt like me.
Yeah.
Right. Julie, you're an incredible guest. We haven't even scratched the surface. I really would love to have you back on sometime to kind of deep dive some of your lyrics. As a lyric guy myself, I'd love to kind of dive into how you craft some of these.
I love that. I never get to do that. That's why I'm like,
it's the thing that I love most.
Little things that I put in there that, like, it's so funny. I like had my song Tennessee Moon. I posted like a little clip of it on like YouTube Shorts, and it was like this one moment. And someone commented like, "This didn't actually happen," and I was like, have you ever heard of like metaphors? Like,
yeah, for real.
You're right.
I was like, after this instance, this specific thing did happen, and this is why I wrote. Like, I love diving in. Love watching.
Harley loves it.
It's
he geeks out about it.
Pulling like the meaning and finding like the deeper thought process of even just sitting down and figuring out how you craft that kind of wording, and understanding like what you're feeling in those moments, right? It's this incredible art. And I think that specifically, the way that you're able to walk this line of country and folk, because your wording is very folky, right? But the melodies are very country, and you can really pull those influences. It's truly incredible. But all of that being said, you definitely should come back. I would love to talk to you.
I would love to.
But I do want you to play this super fun game.
Oh, yes. We got to do the game.
All right. Are we ready?
The game? I'm excited. Yeah.
We're going to play a game that we made up. This is called Whose Musician Is It Anyway?
Yes.
Ooh, okay.
Not a ripoff.
Not
any other game that we've had.
Nope. You cannot get in trouble legally at all.
At all. No.
Are we ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Welcome.
Whose musician is it anyway?
The show where everything's made up and the points don't matter. That's right. The points are something you'll never see, like me and the box of Wheaties.
All
I'm
right.
so bad at this game.
I love the
game show music. Yes. I like to make some parodies around here. So the point of this game is I am going to show you a picture of a musician, and you have to tell me who that musician is. And we do tailor these games to our guests. So this is my way of impressing you with my research.
Wow. Amazing.
Imagine.
It is. Taylor, you might want to just sit this one out.
I think I'm just going to sit it
it
out and let her guess. I was going to say, imagine she didn't know who it was, though. You know what I
That
mean?
would be tough. That would be tough. And there probably will be some that pop up that
I would be very shocked.
I just meant if you had bad research.
Well, I wanted to
some countrymen that I'm probably not going to know.
I wanted to like craft it around what I knew that you enjoyed, but also vague enough that Taylor would have a chance. But the more I thought about the people I put on the list, I was like, "There's no fucking way."
Every countryman is the same person to me.
So that's where I'm like, if it's going to be the men, like my mom didn't play.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Like she just played all women like that. You know, my mom. It's so funny. She like some people. She like prefers listening to female voices. Like she like other than like Keith Urban, she doesn't want anything else. She loves some Keith, but other than that, she's like, I don't want to hear it. Like,
I couldn't pick Keith Urban out of a lineup. So
once you see that straightened hair, though,
he's so identifiable.
So yeah, I guess he was a bad choice, but like a majority of others, I'm like, I don't know. I have no idea.
All right, so this is in fact the one and only Shania Twain.
Yeah.
There we go, and a great '90s icon.
Yeah. Okay, all right. You gotta have this.
I know that one.
I'm gonna give you this one.
That's Dolly Parton.
That is Dolly Parton. Taylor, what gave it away?
Dolly Parton.
The personalities?
The personality, probably.
Yeah.
All right. Here we go.
I know who that is too.
This one was for me.
That was for you.
I love this guy.
Darius Rucker?
This is Darius Rucker, the one and only Hootie. So sad I didn't get to make it to that show this year. Such an incredible songwriter. And again, he pulled from that song Wagon Wheel, which was Old Crow Medicine Show originally.
Yep.
Same situation, right? He pulled this folky song from a band that I feel is very similar to kind of that line that you walk. Old Crow Medicine Show is like this really great country folk band, almost like a bluegrass feel.
Yeah, they got the bluegrass.
And then he took that and turned it into one of the biggest country songs in the world. Just truly incredible.
Oh, yeah.
All right, Taylor. No, really? Okay.
R.I.P.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
I love Toby Keith.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
This is my girl, Sarah Evans.
Sarah Evans.
Born to Fly, that album, I know it word by word until the point that I got to school. Like my mom would play it. And so
really?
And then when I got there, and then the later songs, I don't know them at all.
I was a 90s kid. Grew up a very 90s country household. So all of your influences, I had the same influences. I guess a little more on the male side though, because I listened to like Alan Jackson, Toby Keith, Tim McGraw.
Yeah.
But that 90s country feeling, like, I don't know about you, but after you move to like the 2004 forward, it's not the same.
It's not. It doesn't feel the same.
Yeah. Keith Urban and like Brad Paisley, I would even say like early Taylor Swift, those were like the last decent things to come out of the country music scene. The CMT Top 20 Countdown, every week I would sit and watch that.
Yeah. No, it was we had some real good music then. It was really awesome. I'm very glad that my mom curated my radio station to all of that. Yeah.
The Wreckers, I mean, come on.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
All right. This one's definitely for you, Jolie. I read an article that your mom and you used to listen to Michael Jackson back in the day.
I got him
it was your
for
dad.
one of his he grew up, him and his brothers used to like pretend to be the Jackson 5. I come from a big family on both sides. They would like do all the dances and stuff. So for one of his birthdays when I was little, I got him like the complete collection, Michael Jackson. We used to listen to it all. There was like a few different CDs, so we'd like go between them. And
that's awesome.
Oh, that's so sweet. I love that.
So was it like the full like moonwalk, or was it like the Jackson 5 dances?
Oh, they would do the Jackson 5 dances when they
Okay.
Yeah. Like in like the, in the 60s and 70s, they do those little dances. But, I would try to moonwalk in my living room, but I can't do it. No chance.
Yeah, nope, can't.
No chance.
I think we should start coming up with dances, though, buddy.
I can't dance.
That's fantastic. We don't have to be good at it. I know who this is.
I did this one for you to give you a shot.
You got this.
It's Kenny Chesney.
That is the one and only Kenny Chesney.
My husband.
Yeah.
In another world, we're married.
In his perfect place, which is like right in front of that beach. Like
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
When I was 3, When I was 3, I had his whole CD memorized. I walked around with my little CD player, my headphones on, and that's the only thing that went into my brain.
I love it.
I love it.
We're doing good so far.
Yeah. I think there's one more for you.
Okay. Okay. This is it. This is the one.
This
is the Mecca for me. The Chicks.
The Chicks.
Formerly known as the Dixie Chicks. My favorite like country band of all time. I love them. They are queens to me.
So, and the controversy that I mean, they've lived in controversy at this point.
Oh yeah,
right?
that like really, I think like really motivate. Like it enraged me when I was a kid. Like I was so mad when they got kicked off.
Mm-hmm.
And, like not ready to make nice. I used to like scream that with my mom outside of the car. I was so mad. I remember like I had to give a little speech in my 4th grade class. We had to like write about something, and I wrote a whole speech about how I was mad at the president at the time because he got the Chicks canceled and kicked off the radio. I was so mad. I was
rightfully so.
I know. Yeah.
How was it for you when they went from the Dixie Chicks to the Chicks and their reasoning behind it and everything, as somebody that grew up listening to them and then seeing them change their name later in life due to what I would say is a great great reason to do so. But as somebody that was such a diehard fan, did it affect you?
So for me, I like okay, this is going to sound really horrible, but like, I think I didn't even really know, like, I knew the history of like the Mason-Dixon line, but like, I didn't even really realize like the whole history behind the word.
Right.
I don't think a lot of us did to like even think of it as something that like would even potentially be something bad. But I think around that time, like learning more about it and then also knowing who the Chicks are, like, of course they're going to want to change it. And that's so authentic to them and who they are that I'm like, go for it. I think it was a great thing, like for them, if they want to feel like much more comfortable, like doing that. And I'm like, I love it. And it was a super easy kind of like transition to just be like the Chicks, I think, there might be other artists that maybe if they change and people are like, they're just doing this because they feel like they're going to get canceled, and there's no like authentic, like, I'm like, I genuinely think that they're like, at this point too, like you go to like a Chicks concert and like, they are so unabashedly themselves and talk about whatever the fuck that they want that I'm like, you fucking do what you want. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So to me, I was like, go for it. Like, this is great. I'm like, I supported it all the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's my mental issues with change.
Yeah.
So it was like, they came out and they're like, all right, we're going to be the Chicks now. And here's why. Yeah. And then Lady Antebellum came out and they said, all right, we're going to be Lady A and this is why. And I was like, it's been years and like, I already have issues with change.
Yeah.
But I was like, I support the reasoning, but like, it's really tough for me.
It's going to be tough to, tough to say, to figure out, and I catch myself sometimes. I'll say, I'll be like, oh, something, but I think it's fine. I'm like,
oh yeah,
the Dixie Chicks and
the history behind it too, because like you said, I didn't know, and same thing with Lady Antebellum. I had no idea. I I just thought it was like a southern like.
That's
place.
the thing too. I'm like, I've always thought of just that word, and then you're like, oh yeah, I guess antebellum does mean like slavery. You know, like you're
Right.
like, oh, I think it does. It refers to a very specific time in history. That
Yeah.
You're like, now it makes sense. Like,
Yeah,
but
now
you're
you make
but
sense.
until it's easy to like. I don't never fault somebody for not know. Like I'm like I didn't know.
Yeah.
But then it's like once you know, it's like then what do you do with it?
Right.
It kind of goes from there, and then how do you then go about it in like this authentic
Mhm.
way, I think, to what who
Absolutely.
you are it is, and I think
All right, Julie.
well,
I know that you have a tight schedule.
thank you so much
So-
for having me here. This was so much fun.
It's so
This
much
is
fun.
great.
You're our first interview since the baby, so
It's been a while.
yeah,
A while.
yeah.
Oh, well, I'm so honored. Oh, I love babies. So
If
He's
you're
a big
listening,
baby.
please check out Tennessee Moon, the EP. Every song on there is incredible. All of Julie's work is incredible. Spotify,
Mhm.
Amazon, YouTube, Apple, wherever you listen to music. She's truly an incredible artist. Really paving the way for bringing back a sound that I miss. So thank you so much for being on the show.
thank you so much for having me. Y'all are awesome.
Oh, thank you.
Please come back. I'll shoot Joe an email with like my information, and even if you just want to talk music, just record it.
Y'all ask awesome questions, and thank you. I really, really appreciate it, because sometimes you do things and you're like, have you even actually listened to the music at all? You know what I mean? So I'm like,
We tried to research.
No, I really appreciate it.
All right. Have a wonderful tour, and we'll see you again very, very soon.
Yeah, where are y'all in Virginia? I'm coming to Virginia actually in a few weeks.
We're in Hampton, Virginia. Where are you going?
So I'm going to like North Virginia, like Vienna, Fairfax area, and then I'm going to Charlottesville.
Okay.
So those are my two little Virginia
I will try to see if we can make the Fairfax one. That would be incredible.
Yeah. No, let me know, and I would love to like put you guys on the list and everything.
Heck yeah, that'd be awesome.
Hopefully it's when I'm down there.
My wife
I'll
would
be moving.
love to meet you and show you the same gratitude that I have. So
Oh, well, I would love to have you all there. So yeah, just let me know if you want to come, and I'll get you some tickets.
awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
All right.
Bye, y'all.
Yeah.
Bye.
All right, Taylor.
She was lovely.
Yeah, she's awesome.
We have to end the show.
Yeah,
I
we
forgot.
do.
Okay.
We do. It
Hi,
is that
everybody.
time.
It is that time. Thanks for watching or listening. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a big thumbs up, subscribe, and don't forget to hit that bell notification so you get notified every time we post new videos.
And as always, we have the Instagram, which is doing pretty well. It seems like a lot of good stuff going on over there. We put up additional content that you can't see here over there. We also put up like our schedule so that you know all of the upcoming stuff we've got going on. We have a Patreon. There's bonus stuff over there. We have our YouTube page, which has all of our video episodes as well as all of our additional shows that we're working out. We've got gaming stuff over there. Taylor's got a vlog series over there. We've got in the works some sort of a cooking show. I'm not going to say anything else about that. But yeah, there's a lot of good stuff over there. And we've got great interviews coming up. And we hope that you have enjoyed this show. It's been real, and peace.